Couples and money, what's the key to success? Tune in to today's episode of Headlines and Fine Print to find out. Hello and welcome to Headlines and Fine Print with Dion Williams, brought to you by Piedmont Advantage Credit Union. I'm Dion Williams, President and CEO of Piedmont Advantage Credit Union. On today's episode, we're going to enter into the world of couples and money. As with so many financial topics, there's not a one-size-fits-all approach. That's our first fine print of today's show. However, that does not mean that different money personalities in a relationship are destined to fail. So in terms of money personalities, and I am admittedly not a psychologist, but we can keep the money personalities at a simple level. So for every dollar you make, do you spend two? Or, as I recall from my grandparents, do you have a Depression-era mindset where you save every nickel? My guess is that many of us fall in the middle of those extremes, and that's okay. The fine print isn't about where we fall on that spectrum. Rather, it's our self-awareness of our money personality and having effective communications with our partner. It's like any other team. The whole can be greater than the sum of the individual parts when the team is working together and firing on all cylinders. So let's talk about some decision points. So now that we've talked about money personalities, depending on how those personalities align, a couple needs to decide whether it's best to share one account or have individual accounts for each person in the relationship. So if differing money personalities are a pain point, separate accounts may prevent some arguments. However, there still has to be communication about who's responsible for what in terms of bills that are being paid in a timely manner. Separate accounts do not eliminate the need to set goals and budget. Communication is still required regardless. So there's the word communication again. Now, if you combine funds, some rules may be in order to ensure the account is not overdrawn. My wife and I have been married for 27 years, and I'll just give you an example of one of the rules that we adhere to. If one of us is going to spend more than $100 from an account, we communicate that to the other person. So again, just if it's $100, we tell one another, so there's no miscommunication on that, no risk of the account becoming overdrawn. Now, a second decision point is in regards to goal setting. So that could be purchasing a house, buying a car, starting a family, saving for retirement. Again, we come back to that word communications. The above items include topics such as insurance. If you have a house or car, for example, you've got to insure it. Down payment for a house or a car. Potential loan payments, and payroll deductions. So if you're saving for retirement, or how is money being allocated from your check. But with separate or combined finances, these are money decisions that require conversations and coordination to make a plan to achieve the goal. Consider the analogy of being on a canoe with your partner. You both have to row in the same direction and at the same pace to get to your preferred destination. Otherwise, you're not going to get anywhere fast, and you may even flip the canoe. So with proper communication and shared goals, you can be very successful regardless if it's one account or two, and regardless of your money personalities. Another alternative may be to set up a designated savings account for a specific goal or goals. So for example, at the credit union, we have members that set up accounts for Christmas club, for holiday spending, or a vacation club account. So you can designate a savings account for down payment for a house, down payment for car, college education funds, all of those things. You can set up designated accounts to put money into for those shared goals. So concepts from previous shows apply here. So even though today's topic is couples and money, let's revisit some topics we've discussed in previous Headlines and Fine Print episodes. First, and I'm going to say it again, pay yourself first. Prioritize your shared goals so you're not scrambling to save what's left over. Secondly, remember the 4 areas of budgeting that we've discussed: spending, saving, investing, giving. And not to harp on this again, but prioritize the saving, investing, and giving where spending comes last, not first. You want to direct your money. You don't want your money to direct you. A little earlier, I mentioned starting a family may be a shared goal for a couple. And as a parent of 3 kids, two of my daughters are in college now, I can tell you this is a very important discussion as well. Start early with talking about money so it's not considered a taboo subject. You can use envelopes or jars to use cash and change to teach kids about money and directing their money for their own goals. Remember, kids are very observant with what they see and what they hear, so they probably know a lot more than you think they do. That certainly was my experience as a parent. So don't shy away from talking about finances with your kids at an age-appropriate level at different stages of their financial life. Let's spend a moment to talk about debt. So as we talk about money personalities, earlier I was speaking in terms of checking accounts and cash when I was saying if you have $1, do you spend two, or do you save every nickel? But debt's a deeper and more uncomfortable topic, so you really have to get to the bottom of your attitudes on spending and saving, because if we're changing from a checking account or cash, what if it's a credit card? So swiping the credit card or tapping the credit card, that's a longer term impact because minimum payments can add up and balances can linger for years. So the communication needs to cover your attitudes towards the debt and the savings and the impact it can have on qualifying for a home loan or financing for other major purposes. So I'm not discounting the importance of independence and autonomy with your own money. However, proper communication needs to be in place so there's no uncomfortable surprises if or when the time comes when you have to apply for joint credit for a major purchase. Estate planning. Now, the topic of this show is couples and money, and we could do a very long show on estate planning just as its own topic. But notice earlier and throughout the show today, I've not talked about couples and money in the context of marriage, and that's an important distinction because a lot of law, when it applies to couples and money, it's predicated on marriage. However, in today's world, the marriage part is not a given. Therefore, it's important to review your beneficiary designations and update them as needed. This applies to insurance, retirement plans, and you may not know this, but you can even have payable on death beneficiaries for deposit accounts such as checking accounts and savings accounts. And especially if children are involved, regardless of your net worth, it's important to have a will to outline your wishes for their care in your absence. So again, we'll do a future show on estate planning is for everyone because I truly believe it. Estate planning is for everyone. But for today's purposes, I want to highlight just how important estate planning is for couples, as the law is often vague or silent outside the scope of marriage. And we don't want you to find yourself in a situation where it's not a marital situation and you find yourself where your wishes are not being carried out or the other person's wishes are not being carried out as wished because the law is silent or vague on it. So as we wrap up today, I hope you enjoyed today's show on couples and money. And even though it sounds cliche, the secret to success is communication. You can take different approaches to achieving your goals, whether it's individual accounts or joint accounts, but that doesn't change the fact that a plan needs to be in place so each person is doing their part. And also remember, life happens. There will be setbacks and there will be successes, but it's not a zero-sum game. Learn from mistakes, stay focused on your goals, and keep the lines of communication open. And then success will follow. Thank you so much for joining us today for Headlines in Fine Print with Dion Williams, brought to you by Piedmont Advantage Credit Union. We'll launch a new episode each month and discuss topics that are relevant to your financial life. We have a wealth of resources on staff at the credit union that can provide information on a variety of financial topics, and we look forward to sharing those with you. Also, I'd like to give you this invitation. My email address is dion.williams@pacu.com, and my number is 336-750-7088. If there's a topic you would like us to discuss on a future episode, or you have questions about a topic we've addressed within an existing episode, I'd love to hear from you, so please don't hesitate to reach out to me. If you'd like to learn more about the credit union or how to become a member, please visit us at pacu.com. And I'd like to thank you for listening and tuning in for today's show, and have a great day.